Hello, glorious souls. Welcome to your Soul Service Astrology update for the week of the 27th of March, 2023. Welcome to the new celestial year. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, we're entering into the season of rot. So it's a great time to dance and weave around your compost heap. What the hell does that mean, Kel? That means let go of things that are not going to journey with you into the rest of the celestial year. There might be things that you need to release, and you get to put them in the compost heap to see what regenerates from those little deaths in the next season. Now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you're moving into the season of growth. So what is blossoming? What is growing? What is reaching its peak of abundance? So that's a little bit of a seasonal touch point as we enter into this week. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I am a 13-sign sidereal astrologer. That means where I locate the planets can be observed in the sky. And I always encourage us to be looking at our environment. So even though I mentioned the seasons at the beginning of this, I want us to shift our perspective away from the colonized seasons. I want you to look at your season. I want you to look at what's going on in your environment. Then I want you to look at the sky. I want you to see which phase the moon is in. And then you can layer the stars behind that phase if you like to. I want you to look where the planets are. There's an amazing astronomical alignment happening at the moment in the sky. And I think it's most visible for my Northern Hemisphere beauties, because I don't think I can see it's on the Western horizon, and that's behind me. And I have a giant ridge behind me, so it's actually not that giant. So go and have a look at the sky, because you can see, I'm pretty sure you can see Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, the moon, and Uranus is in there, but Uranus isn't visible to the naked eye, in alignment. And I think the moon's going to be in there as well. So that's why I encourage you to be looking at our environment. We are part of this glorious planet. And if we're going to end separation, if we're going to come back into connection with ourselves, number one, and come back into connection with our community and with our planet, and start to live a more regenerative lifestyle, we have to end that separation within us. And one way to do that is through the practice of astrology. And that's why you're here. All right, so what's happening this week? This week's actually a pretty power-packed week coming up. Now, we've had quite a lot of power-packed weeks. And when I say power, it's not the power, patriarchal power. It's actually a reflection of the shadow side of patriarchal power. What I have been seeing demonstrated is, there is leaders standing up, patriarchal leaders standing up. They're so assured of their visions. They're so supremely confident that they know what it is that they're willing to create and what they want to come to fruition. They just know what will happen because it's always happened for them. It's not necessarily a vision for the greater whole. So where us mystics, the ones listening to this, where we're going to differ ourselves from the patriarchal way of leading, that patriarchal supreme confidence, that's shadow Saturn in Aquarius, right? What we're looking for now is an illuminated Saturn in Aquarius, because Saturn has just moved into Aquarius over the last month or so. An illuminated Saturn in Aquarius has a vision for the greater whole, for the greater good, and is willing to step up and be supremely confident in that vision. Now, you all saw me, well, if you've been watching this channel, bring the Soul Service Astrology Planner into reality. So it works the same way with any of your visions. So my vision was for a planner. It was this time last year that I was thinking about it. I went back and had a look at my self-constructed test run Soul Service Astrology Planner. And I saw myself mapping it out from this time last year. And in a year's time, it's here. It's in reality. It's not just a thought or a kind of mapping out creation. It's here. So that's how quickly it can happen for you when you get really laser focused in on what it is that you do want to create this lifetime. And as we are mystics in the mundane, because there is still a lot of Pisces energy, and this time every year there's still going to be a lot of Pisces energy, and we are in the age of Pisces. So it is an opportunity this lifetime for you to start to privilege your subtle anatomy. It's an opportunity for you to privilege your subtle intelligences, and that is your emotional intelligence, your nervous system's intelligence. They're linked, of course, everything's linked, and then your non-local intuition. So on Monday, we have Jupiter conjunct Mercury in Pisces. So this is where we have that beautiful expansive energy coming into our mind in the sign of oneness, in the sign of let's expand beyond what it is that we know and move into that non-local field. I have a fly buzzing around here. I might go a bit spaz when the fly comes. It's my friendly fly companion on this, this week's astrology. So what we're doing this week with Jupiter and Mercury coming together in Pisces is we need to ascend our littleness. And I felt into that last week when I realized prior to my celestial New Year's party, I reached an upper limit. And what tends to happen with our nervous system and perhaps our body when we reach an upper limit, doing something that we haven't done before, it gives you messages. It gave me a back spasm and the flu, right? Because it was like, oh, it's so dangerous. You've never been there before, Kelly. I actually knew that's what my body was doing. And so you have to write it out. And what it was trying to do, it was trying to keep me little. And I've said no more. It's like, fine, you can throw a back spasm at me. I have ways to help me with that back spasm. I will ride out the flu. I haven't been sick for 12 months, all through COVID. But yes, upper limit, by all means, come and give me the flu to remind me that I have been sitting in my littleness. And what we need to do as mystics in the mundane is to embrace ourselves as part of this planet. And this planet is massive and it contains the all, which is in you. So how could you at all be little? Your opinion matters. Your thoughts are not golden, but your message matters. And you are absolutely allowed to expand into, privilege your intuition and let that filter into your day to day, because your intuition is always there. It's always there. You don't need to, I'm going to meditate and then access my intuition, which is what my mentor, Dr. Ricky Jane Adams, would say to me. No, we don't just meditate and then access our intuition. It is there for you all the time. So that's what this Jupiter is the biggest planet of the solar system. It keeps all this space, I don't want to call it space junk, but like rocks and asteroids away from the Earth. It is protecting us. It is abundant because it protects us. It lets us be in this beautiful honeymoon spot in the solar system. And Jupiter's saying, come on, I'm protecting you. I'm holding you. You get to expand beyond your little mind. So if there's an opportunity for you to do that this week, I would encourage you to do it. Now, if your nervous system throws up upper limits like mine did last week, you are going to have to roll with it and say, Kelly told me that when I'm moving beyond what it is that I know consciously, my nervous system is likely to throw up little hurdles for me to try and keep me safe and small. But I say no more to that, because on the other side of the unknown, how can I possibly know? Why should it be scary? It might be so amazing. It will blow my little mind. Right. So there was a lot of energy in that one. That's just Monday. And then we move into Wednesday. And Wednesday we have Uranus meeting Venus. Now, 2 weeks ago, I mentioned a new way that I am thinking about Aries. And let me tell you that video, particularly on Instagram, it went off. I had no idea that that would happen. So people were really resonating with how I was beginning to talk about Aries. And it was Claudette from Sky Astrology, and you can go and look her up on Instagram. that had mentioned to me that maybe the ecliptic isn't that close to Aries when you look at the stars, right? And because I'm full of self-improvement and continual improvement, that is part of my business, that is part of what I do as a scientist as well. There has to be continual improvement. You're constantly looking to make sure that, you know, what things need to change. So if you're a tropical astrologer listening to this, you can change, and it's not that hard, because I used to be the tropical astrologer and now I'm a sidereal one, right? And we continually improve. We're continually looking and filtering information, right? So we have Uranus conjunct Venus in Aries. Now, the stars in Aries aren't that close to the ecliptic. So the planets are actually moving what I would refer to as, they're moving through a kind of a void space. Hang on, my child is trying to come in. No, away. You just got to see me in mum mode. I should have warned you at the beginning. So we're moving into this void space, and that's where all the planets are going to start to trickle in. So to begin with, we have Uranus conjunct Venus. So Uranus is visionary energy, but it's quite rebellious energy, and it's been in this void space for a long time. So it's us getting really comfortable and used to, I'm just making sure my door's not open so they don't come rushing in here, because then I'll have to pause. Getting used to and comfortable with our vision and our why in the unknown. So between that space of Pisces and Taurus, before we land it on Earth. Now, Uranus is going to come into Taurus at the end of this, towards the end of this year, and stay for a big chunk of time, which is awesome, right? But while we're in this void space, we're getting really comfortable with the idea of, I don't need to know everything. I can transit through this space, I can transform, I can change, and I don't need to know anything. But I am so passionate about staying on the path that I'm willing to let things burn away from me. Now, when it meets up with Venus, Venus is still an evening star. It's in Anna, that has just come out of the underworld. So there's kind of this space between, I'm the mystic, I'm in heaven, and now I'm going to come to Earth. And this is where in Anna is recalibrating to come back to Earth. It's like she's been to the underworld, she's learned all this information because she was the queen of heaven and earth, but now she's seen the underworld. So she's had all three layers. And that's how you might feel as well, particularly as we've had a lot of planets in Pisces, which can be a little bit discombobulating for our small minds. And we need to allow ourselves some space. We need to look after our body. And we need to make sure that our needs are met in this space, because we might be shedding. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, this actually works really well with the season of rot. There might be things that you're letting go that are part of your vision that aren't really, you know, you don't really want to focus in on that. Now, I made mention previously that the other constellation on the other side of the ecliptic to Aries is Cetus. Now, Cetus, the ecliptic doesn't run through it, but of course this void space is, it's bundled by the ram and a whale. So you could use that archetypal energy as through it we move through. And I had another lady refer to it as the birth channel, where there's a little bit of pressure before we come out to Earth. And I've referred to it as our sacred flame. It's a place where we go and chuck things into our sacred fire. We transmute the energy to something else, because of course you can't destroy energy, it can only be transformed. And of course, Venus isn't all about connection and creation. She was definitely about removing blocks to her system so that she could then make the changes that she wanted to make, to understand more, to end separation more. And then we come back to Earth, and she's actually a better goddess. You're a better god or goddess when you've had this purging process. All right, that's Wednesday. Thursday, we have Saturn trine Mars still. Now, but Mars is transiting into Gemini. So last week I said this was supreme confidence, and I started this week's call in relation to that. There was this energy of supreme confidence. Now, I want us to look at the illuminated aspect of that. You might not find very good examples in our capitalist Western society demonstrating supreme confidence on people that are working for the greater whole. I would encourage you to go and look at environmental activists, because that's where you can see supreme confidence. Greta Thunberg, she has just been relentless in her pursuit to raise climate change to climate crisis, and she has done that, and she continues to do that. There is supreme confidence working for the greater whole. I look to, in Australia, the Climate Council. There are so many wonderful people at the Climate Council. I look at the Environmental Defender's Office. There are very wise, expert people focusing in on there should be no new coal projects, no new gas projects. We should stop subsidising coal and gas. Very clear and focused on their message, but it is for the greater whole. So I would encourage you to look at what it is that you're bringing to the planet and what aspects of it is for the greater whole, what aspect of your message is for the greater whole, because it's Mars, and really getting clear. So that's a bit of medicine for me, because I've been feeling a little bit confused about some of my offerings as part of Soul Service Astrology. And now I've just realized by speaking that out loud that, okay, this period that we're just heading into in the Southern Hemisphere, I get to get laser focused on my message and make sure that my wisdom from Saturn is infused in there. Now, this is trine energy, so it's easy. Allow yourself to marinate in it and privilege your subtle intelligences. So again, the message I heard this morning was, Kelly, you are going to go and listen to the qualities of this offering that I have from non-local sources. You're going to stop using your mind because it's not working. Now, Saturn in Aries definitely uses their intuition and receives information non-locally and can then integrate into their methodologies and into their message. All right, so then late in the week on Sunday, the 4th of April, we have Pluto square Mercury. Pluto is technically still in Sagittarius, but it's actually, if you look at your astronomy app, it's very hard to see Pluto in the sky at night, but it is sitting between Sagittarius and Capricorn. So it really is starting a very long transiting phase from Sagittarius into Capricorn. So it's that liberation of our beliefs back to oneness, back to what is possible beyond our egos. And then how do we start to destroy beliefs in relation to what it is that we consciously know as it's moving into Capricorn, so that we can start to access even deeper wisdom, that we can start to access even deeper models and methods of transformation. So that's the space that we're in at the moment. That's going to take like a long time, at least a year, for Pluto to transit into Capricorn. Now, if you've been hearing Pluto's going into Aquarius, it's not going into Aquarius. That's tropical, and it's not. Pluto is sitting between Sagittarius and Capricorn. Now, square energy is that fear and that tension energy. And I've spoken a lot about Mercury this week because of the first aspect that we have. But Pluto square Mercury means that you need to shed some beliefs. You need to shed some perhaps conscious knowings that you thought you believed, but in actual fact can no longer journey with you, as you're privileging your subtle intelligence, as you're privileging your intuition. The mystic in the mundane, the mystic in a corporate environment, doesn't just rely on what they consciously know. They will also be privileging their intuition, they will be privileging their emotional intelligence, and they will be privileging their nervous system. They just won't tell you about it. And you will just sit there and watch this person in a very conservative, conventional environment, understanding everything that's going on and achieving what it is they set out to achieve. And you won't even be aware that they have privileged their intuition. And we can all do that. I'm not special, they're not special. So the idea is to shed those limiting beliefs, is to switch our mindset that I can use my intuition to support me in everything that I am doing, and that we start to move away from our littleness and understand that we are the all in the all, and that we're all connected. And that's what I refer to all the time, that we're coming back into our ecological selves, and that's so that we can live a regenerative lifestyle, that we can start to shift and make changes, so that we can start to make sure that our systems and our world is programmed in a different way than the pathway that we've been going. All right, so that's it from me today. I do hope you have a glorious week. If you would like to work with me, go to soulserviceastrology.com. I do birth chart evaluations, and the Soul Service Astrology Planner is now 10% off if you use the coupon code 10OFF. And I will see you next week. Have a glorious weekend. Bye.